Well, hi everyone, and welcome back to my YouTube art tutorial channel. This evening I'm at the West Mersey Art Group. Well, as you can see, the sun's going down and getting a little bit cool here. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to head off to the hall and get set up really and meet all the group. Well, as you can see, people are arriving. The subject really that I'm going to paint is a lovely summer away really. Trees overhanging, sun coming from the back. So I'm really looking forward to getting into this one and see what I can do. Well, this is the subject I should be attempting to paint my version of this subject during the course of the evening. So I'm really looking forward to that. Okay then, well, good evening everyone. And thank you all really for coming along. Yes, I'm looking at painting my version, I will say my version, because obviously it won't be a copy of this scene, but it will be a version. And I thought I'm doing a day course down here very shortly, and decided that I'd choose something that we will be looking at during that day course, and it's really. Linda, my wife's at the back there. We were wandering around, and I can't think for the life of me where I was, but I like the look of this because you've got a lovely light on the greenery. And I know a lot of artists, when they paint, trees are not one of the easiest things to depict, and but I like this one, so I thought trees, summer, you know, and because we all like to look forward to the summer, don't we? Yes. With all this chilly weather about. And of course, we've got lovely dappled light running across the foreground. So I'm hoping to produce a version of that will have most of the elements in. But obviously, when you paint, you've got to be aware that you don't try and copy exactly what you see on the photograph. Because if you do, you end up with lots of little dots that you think look like leafing, but in reality they don't. You'll have lots of undergrowth. I think we've got a lot of nettles of some sort in the foreground there. You know, you're painting little leaves. The answer is to capture the light and to give an impression of leafing, to give an impression of the undergrowth, but mainly to have the light coming from the background, which this is. And it's always nice, you know, a lot of people, you know, they only take pictures or images of subjects that are well lit, you know, but there's so much more interest if you've got a backlight, obviously not with the sun in your face, but the sun behind your subjects, so that you've got a little bit of shadow work. You've also got that nice light sky, and that highlights the subjects that are in front of you. So, you know, when you look at the subjects, not a bad thing to do to actually start, you know, trying to take photographs or make sketches of this sort of thing, with the light coming more from the back of the subject. Now, basically, I tend to split things into 3 areas, possibly 4. We've got the sky and background. Now, to me, even with the distant trees there, they're blurred, they're out of focus. All right, the camera probably does that. If you look at it with your eye, because you can focus foreground and distance straight away, but with a camera, you focus on the foreground, then beyond that it gets blurred and blurred. And that's the way I like to paint it, because if you start putting in detail there, that gets very confusing with the detail there. So really all of the background has got to be wet into wet. So anything you see that is behind the middle distance, that will be put in wet into wet. And you can leave you a bit of freedom to that, so I should damp the paper and drop colours in, and keep that very light, because that's what it is. We can't even get a blue, but I will put a bit of blue in there. Then we come to the middle distance, which I suppose is that area there, and we'll begin to see a little bit more texture. So that'll be the next stage that we do. And then we'll have the foreground with all this lovely leafing overhanging, and basically you've built it up from back, gradually getting more detail as you come forward. Blurred in the distance, little bit of detail, and then really strong colours and detail in the foreground. And with that you get a nice 2D effect, and all being well, you get yourself a painting. Well, it's easy enough to talk about it, isn't it? You know, but it's actually doing it is another thing. Better put that over there. Let's lean that up against there. That's all right. I can edit all this out when I do the video. I shall need to, and all, I think. Well, that's not going to work. Oh, there you go. That just gives you a bit of an idea what I'm looking at there. Right. Now, I'm going to use, quite a meaty looking brush here. It's a, what is it? Oh, it's a Pro Art 45. It's synthetic and sable mix, really. It's not the cheapest, but good job it isn't sable, because, well, I'd have to take out another mortgage, I think, to get one of those. But it does hold a lot of moisture, and it points well too. So you get a nice point to it. So you can not only, put broad washes on, but you can also pick around areas if you've got buildings that you're picking around or whatever. In this case, all I'm going to do is pick around that area there, really, because as you can see, that's blurred. This is harder edged, so provided I get the blurred behind this central area, should be good. Anyway, here we go. Now the first thing I'm going to do is to damp the paper. Now at this angle it's not ideal, but without this angle you won't be able to see what I'm doing, so I'm afraid it's got to be this angle. And after, well, how many years, I don't like to say how many years I've been demonstrating, but I know I turned professional in 1998, but I was doing it several years before then, but I couldn't make a living. I still didn't make a living when I went full time, but never mind. Right, that's it. Don't want too much water on that, that's it. So what I'm doing, I'm damping the paper as far as that sort of line there, down into that central area and up. Now that is where, just bring that up again, it keeps running down, you see, which is always, of course I should re-damp when I lay the colour on, but that's not a problem. There we are, there we go. That's looking good. Always dries from the top, even if your board's at a 15-degree angle, which I recommend. Always, the top will dry out quicker because it's all wanting to run down. Let me just damp that again, because I remember I did a course in Spain once, and Lynn will remember that, my wife, she'll remember all about that one. Because she came with me on that one, funny enough. I said, you don't want to come on that one, do you? She said, oh, yeah. I do actually, yes. So that was it. But that was June, wasn't it, Lynn?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, in
It's really
June.
hot, isn't it?
Yeah.
Paint just dried in the pallets.
Oh, yeah, there you go.
Oh.
That was a nightmare, wasn't it, Lynn? Yeah. Olive groves, we used to find olive groves to get under and, oh, anyway, it was good. It was good in the end. Okay, so I've damped the paper. Now I've got to get that sparkle of light. Well, first thing I'm going to do, cobalt blue. I like cobalt blue for skies. Doesn't want to be too light, this, but it's going onto damp paper, so that should dry up fairly light. There we are, look at that, just rub it in. There you go. Hope this is not going to fall off, no. Right, clean the brush. Now, we need to show light. We need to show the feeling of light coming from somewhere about here, really. And what we need to do for light is something a little orange. So I'm using cadmium yellow and, I don't know yet, I forgot. Oh no, hang on. Hang on, no, I've got it. Alizarin crimson, there you are. Look at that, look. That's good. That's like an orangey yellow. Let's see what we get from that. Oh yeah, there you go. And pull that across into that. So when you do this, don't rub it on the paper. Let it blend itself. Otherwise, you'll end up with a green. Okay. So just let it blend itself. That's good. Oh, tell you what. Don't know why, but I'm just going to have a bit more. Do you know? Yeah, I'm going to have a nice bit of yellow there. Do you know why?
Makes it so,
Thank you, because I don't have no idea. But yeah, that will do actually. Yeah, and that'll really glow behind there. All being well. Oh, bit of red, alizarin crimson. Where am I going to put that? I don't know why I'm asking you. I should be doing this, shouldn't I? There we go. A little bit of alizarin too. There we are. Let that spread in like that. Just lift that away before it runs down. There we go. That's good. Right. Now, right in that centre will be the depth of the wood. And that will be more or less under the trees, more or less. So I'm using the blue and a touch of raw sienna. Look at that. That's interesting. Raw sienna and cobalt blue while it's still damp. Oh, look at that. Oh, hello, I've got to run. There you go. Let's get rid of that. And I'll put that right in the centre. Do you know I'm going to put a drop of blue right in the centre there. There we go. Just to try and get that feeling of depth. And then, quite a jagged edge then. May even need to go one tone darker with that at that point. But that remains to be seen. That's right in the depth of the wood. And we have some little touches like that. One or two overhanging trees here and there, right in the depth of that wood. Oh, we come down to there. Yeah, go on. There you go. Look at that. That's it. There we are. Look. All of a sudden, we'll begin to get that sort of feeling of depth in the wood, in the background. Shall I take it right along there? There you go. Oh, what about something going on there? Look, there we go. Maybe something going on there. There we go. Look at that. I like the way it's growing up. See that growing up? Don't know what it looks like, but that could work all right. It could work well. Yeah. Okay. Right, now I'm going to just lift away a bit of that, because it's all running down still, which is good, because I want that to run down, and also I want to create, let's just put a little bit more depth of colour in here, because that's always nice to go a little bit darker where I'm going to have light. There you go, and I want a little bit of undercut there. It will all become interesting as I paint the rest, really. But Good. That's good. Okay. Right. Now, a bit of, let's hope it's not dry, yeah? Right. I'm going to use a little raw sienna and a little cobalt blue, but mainly raw sienna to start with. No, let's use cadmium. Tell you why. Because we want that nice summer green, don't we? Oh, there we go. Look at that. That's all right. There's a little bit of that going on here. Just beginning to dry, which is not... These are all sort of like the distance and middle distance areas. That's what I'm looking to depict. Yeah, we virtually come right the way over. A little bit of sky left here and there. Nice and soft there. Well, that's working well. Look at that. Not a bad idea, that. Good job I thought of that. Yeah. There we go. There's some branches overhanging and all sorts of bits and pieces. What's going on there? Oh, well, there we go. Just bang it in, that's the main thing. As I say, when you paint this sort of subject, you know, you've just got to just keep putting the background colours in. They've got to be in a form that actually depicts something, but the final outcome is far beyond what you'll see here, which is just as well, really, because, you know, speaking of Bob Ross, that would probably do, Bob. He'd be quite happy with that, I think, old Bob. There's a little clump there, a little clump of something there. There we are, a little clump of something there. So what I'm trying to do is to get all the distant, blurred sort of images. A little bit of sky seen there. Won't be any real sky here, or will there be? Probably not, but I've just gone a bit yellow with that. There you go, look at that. And nice bit of light there, and I'm going to have one little bit of light. I use Winsor & Newton professional quality. I just feel a bit more like a professional then, you know, that's basically it, you know. But they are the better, they are by far. They use more natural pigments. Yeah, I'm okay. More natural pigments, and of course, they do use only in 75% of their professional paints, which is the artist quality, they use original pigment. So they don't put any other colour with it to make that colour. So 75% of the colours are pure colour. Imagine, basically, black or grey or dark colours are very much the three primaries mixed together. Okay, so once you put another colour to get a colour, then you put another colour in. If you end up putting a red at some point, or a blue at some point, or a yellow at some point, before you know, you've got muddy colours. But at least you're starting off with the fresh colour, and because they're so finely ground, they end up, you know, you don't use so much really, you know. I mean, I use a lot because I squeeze them in and puddle around them. But I mean, if you let them go hard and just stimulate them and just do a little bit at home, they last for years, absolute years. Well, a big tube would anyway. Right, okay, yeah. Next thing. Before we've finished all this, while that's all sort of settling itself down and we can see where it's sort of running and what's happening, I'm going to put a little bit of colour, a bit of warm colour, onto the bank before we get to the track, because the bank stands high, right? So I've got to give that impression that the bank turns down. If I just paint the colour across, it will look as if it's dead flat. But I need to paint around and down. That is the key to it. So while that's drying, I'm going to start off in the distance. Now the distance is raw sienna, a little cobalt, yeah, a little bit of the cadmium yellow in there, but mainly raw sienna. Okay, and shouldn't bleed up now. Well, I'm going to leave a bead of white anyway. Just a bead of white left. And where's my track go? All right, okay. That's good. And I'm going to put a little bit there. There we go. Got to be very light. Got to be lighter than that background so that you can see the sun glistening on the overhanging undergrowth, well, foliage really. There we go. So that's quite a bright colour, and there is a grass centre. So there's been farmyard or tractors or whatever going up and down here. So we've got a little area there, which is where the grass grows between the track, like that. So that's another good addition, gives you foreground perspective. Good. That's good. Right, now I'm going to add a little cobalt with a little cadmium yellow. Not too much at this point. Let's just stick with that cadmium yellow. There you go. So we've got a hint of green coming in. Just a little hint. And if you notice, whatever I do to that side, I'm doing to this side as well. Because I want to keep the colours running across and up. If you just do one side, then you try and match it. You never mix the same colours anymore. So you do one side, the section in the centre, and then the other. Right, bit more cadmium yellow and a little bit more blue, and this will give me an even darker colour. And as I paint back in, I'm putting a bit of an arc to that. Then I'm going in there, and I'm going in there. There you go. Then all of a sudden I'm going to splash in a bit of yellowy blue. There we go. And you can immediately see that that actually turns down into the bank, into the track, purely because of the brush strokes. Don't mind coming up above there. There's something going on at the back there. So that's fine. There we go. There you go. Look at that look. And a bit of yellow and a little bit of, let's go a little bit more yellow now. Just want to make certain that, forget about that tree for the present time. Right, that goes on there. That needs to join up somewhere in the centre there. And that centre is getting wider as it comes forward. That's another very important part of this perspective thing. Yep, right. Now I'm going to use cadmium yellow and some Windsor blue. And this is the red shade, Windsor blue, with a little cadmium yellow. And that will give me a very much more darker green in places. Go, and watch the way that grows up. It just gives that little impression that something sort of undergrowth or some sort of foliage is overhanging the track area. There we go, that's nice. Yeah, put a bit of a curve on that, there you go, look at that. Yeah, so we've got a nice bit of light, just where that light is breaking out from the trees that come over. Now, Windsor blue, cadmium yellow, and burnt sienna. Look at that, 3 colours. That's better. Yeah, there we go. And I'm heading down into more of the foreground area. And all of a sudden I'm turning quite green. Well, not me personally, but the picture, it's quite a green shade, and I'm going to go darker still. Yeah, a bit more brown in there now. Cool, that's dark. Crikey. Look at that. Oh, there's a tree there, so that's bound to cast some sort of shadow. Gotta watch you don't lose the lighter parts. That's also a big problem when you're learning. You know, you can soon overpaint sunlit, sunny areas, light areas. And do you know what I'm going to do now? I'm going to have a little bit of yellow into that now. Might as well have a little bit that side, just so as that keeps it nice and... There you go. Now, a bit of blue. Do you know, I'll put some red in there. I'll tell you why. Because reds and greens are complementary colours. They actually work well together. So if we, look, see that bit of bright, red in there? Let's try another little piece just in there. There you go, look. John Constable did a lot of that. He used to stick a lot of reds about. Well, it worked for him. Don't seem to be working for me, but there you go. That's good, that's okay. And they're really dark in the foreground. So, burnt sienna and Windsor blue. Let's just go really dark with that. There you go, look at that. So that goes that side, bit in the middle. And then just introduce a little bit to that, because we have a little bit to do to this as that heads up. But we want that nice little touches there just before it dries. And that will be the start of the sunlit bank. And, you know, immediately you begin to get that feel that you've got sunlight on the bank. Vital that you paint in this way for this sort of subject. Well, not vital, I mean other artists that do it totally different, but as far as it goes, this is the way I like to capture that light. And then finally, we have the track. Well, the track, before we then start looking at the trees again, the track itself is it's gravel, right? So brown and reds possibly would be fine, but in the distance you've got to get. We've not only got a tapering track, but you've also got a bit of. You need to put a bit of the feeling of depth within your colours. So colours are cooler appear cooler in the distance. As you come forward, they tend to get warmer. So what we do, we start off with the cobalt blue again. Let's use light red this time, just because I've got loads of light red, so I might as well use it. You know, just a bit more blue. Right, let's just start off. It wants to be very weak, so we've got to be a bit careful. Oh yes, even weaker than the actual distance. There, like that. That's good. Yeah, that should be fine. So that's the start of the track. Then I'm going to add a little bit more red to that, light red, and that gives us a slightly sort of warmer colour. And notice whatever I put to the left, I put to the right. A little bit more red now. And because it's a rough old track, I'm going to bring a little bit of that into it, just mould that into it a little bit as it's still damp. That's good. That's good, yeah. And now I'm going to add a little bit more light red. So all of a sudden, I'm beginning to get a warm feeling to the track. And I'm dragging across the paper, trying to get a feeling of gravel, texture. So as you come forward, you get that feeling of texture in the foreground. That gives you depth. That's the theory of it anyway. And a little bit more there. And that's the good thing about these large brushes. You can really dab some colour on. That's it. That's all right. Let's add a bit more red to that because it's gone a bit green. There you go. That's fine. And then I'm putting in alizarin crimson. Purely because that really pulls that forward. Most of that will be in shadow anyway, but the little bits you leave between the dappled light, that will be these little sunlit areas. They don't look light at the moment, but that will do, I can assure you. Well, I hope I can assure you. And really, that is the basic first washes. Okay? Okay, well, the next stage will be, I'm going to use the same brush, I think, for this. Could use a slightly smaller brush, but yeah, tell you what, I'm going to change my mind on that. I'm going to use the slightly smaller mop brush. It's a Dale Rowney, that is. I've got a wide variety of different brushes, you know. Whatever the company send me, I'll say, yeah, they're brilliant. You know, they're all brilliant, you know. And right, now I'm going to load that and just take a bit of moisture off. I'm just looking for, you know, I don't want to lose too much of these light areas, but I want something underneath just as a second layer. So I'm going to use the cadmium yellow again with a touch of, I'm going to use the Windsor blue. Now, there you go, look, yeah, because I want to get that fresh sort of summery, sort of early summer, you know, you know, springtime, you get those lovely rich greens, you know, the nice, real vibrant greens. Halfway through the summer months, you know, they tend to go a little dull and they get a lot of sun on them you know, they're not as fresh. But in the spring, get lovely fresh greens, and that's what I'm trying really to depict. There you go. So this is the little bit there. These will all be in a little bit of light, a bit of sunlight. So we've got a nice yellow. We've got there, yeah. That'll be dark shortly, but that's fine. Don't be too fussy with this. That's another thing. Getting over fussy with things can quite often be a disadvantage. Just go over the trunk. We do have a certain amount of that type of greeny over the trunk, really. So just pick up a little bit more of that there. Yeah, a lot of that will be dark anyway. Nice splash of green there, that's fine. And 2 little touches there. Yeah, this is all going to be quite dark, although, having said that, it wouldn't be bad. I did have a little bit of this under there, so let's just see if we can splash a bit of this on. There you go. We will have some little touches. I'll put some touches in. Might have a bit of luck and be able to leave a bit of space for those to shine through. Yeah, that's fine. Right, now I'm going to look at, there's a bit of hedging here, and just a little touch of it there, and I want to put that in too. And that is going to be a little darker. So I'm going to use the Windsor blue again with a touch of burnt sienna again. There we go, and a little cadmium. So it's not as fresh, it's more like a sort of like a darker hedge affair. And there we go. I'm just going to try and pick that up. And the gaps in between will be the sunlit areas. And now I can shape up with that the blankets, the undergrowth standing up. So I can paint back in and leave some spiky bits with that. And I'm a little bit more open at the top. A little bit of burnt sienna dropped in just to give it a little bit more of an earthy feel. There we go. And I'm just going to do the same to this side. Like that. Don't want to make it too symmetrical, but just some little touches of darker greenery overhanging. Yeah, like that, just in that distance area where it's very dark. Begin to see the way branches are overhanging in the background. There you go, that's good. Now I'm working my way along. Going to go a little bit darker now. Not a bad idea to pick up a bit of depth. Oh well, let's paint over that. There you go. And I'm just going to just some varying bits of undergrowth. I'll leave that unpainted, shall I? There you go. Yeah, a little bit of sort of darker stuff in the background. That's what, you know, it's the sort of thing that a little bit more blue as it runs out of the picture, because I don't want that to interfere too much with the, is there anything here? Well, there is now. There you go, look at that. Right? Look at that. A little bit of something going on there. Another tree there. A couple of trees there. So that's all right, just rub that away, that's good. What have we got here? Oh, something a little different. Something a little different. There we are. Right, so that also shines out the bank. That really gives that a lovely sort of glow to the whole thing. Good. Okay. Right. Now, the next stage will be the darker areas within that leafing here that is actually in sunlight, a little bit more here, and then this side is going to go very dark because we've got the sunlight from that coming from that side. So at the moment you can't quite see which way the sun is coming from, but if you have very dark there, very light with darks within it there, you'll get that feeling the sun is coming across. So I'm going to start off now with plenty of cadmium, yellow, and a little bit of the Windsor blue. Then I'm losing a lot of paint from the brush, and I'm going to paint this side. There we go. There we are, just splash it on a bit. There we go. And as it comes to the outer edge and the brush loses paint, all you do, you just put in some little touches, just like leafing really. It's where it comes together at the top. And away we go again. Leave one or two little gaps, gives you a bit of glint of light. One or two of those yellow patches. And as I said, hopefully where that comes over, there we are. Yeah, that's fine. Don't want to cover too much of that yellow up, because I did like that. Don't want to lose too much of that yellow. Nice to have a bit of sparkle there, that's nice. Yep, gradually building that up. A bit more yellow going in. Do I need this the other side? Yeah, go on. Let's just stick to this side. Didn't like the way that was going, that side. You know, if you put your colour on and all of a sudden, you know, you think, ooh, don't like the look of that. Just forget it, move on to another part, you know, let it dry, you know. No sense in panicking.
Colin, did you restart your camera?
Hope so. Yes, I did. Yeah. Thanks for that. I normally allocate one person in the room to tell me. So if you do spot it, please tell me.
I didn't say you go.
Yeah. Ooh. Well, you know, you will want to see this again, I think, you know. There you go. Yeah, I think that's more or less what I'm looking to do. There we go. A little bit there, a little bit there. Right, now the other side, I'm going to put in a little bit more yellow into that. That's what I want to do. How is that going to work? That's it. There we are. Just pull that into that nice little clump there. There we go. Oh, I've got loads of time. Look at that. Oh, I don't want to lose too much of that sky. Yeah, I think we can do something with that. Yeah, it's been a few years painting trees, but quite often, you know, what you plan in the first place doesn't always work out. But the more you do of it, the more you can blag your way out of it, really, you know. You can make it sound better than it really is, you know. Right, we've got plenty of gaps. Don't want too much there. Look at that. A little bit more yellow there. One or two of these are just springing out, are they? Yeah, they are now. That's good, yeah, that's okay. You've got to watch that you sort of like get all the base colours on before you put the darks in, or the base lights. If you go too dark too early, you cover up all your light colours, and then you lose that feeling of light. There we are. Goody. Right, there we go. Little touch there. It's a painting it's a picture that I've always wanted to paint, but never ever got round to it. So I was as intrigued as you to see what I'd do with it, if you get what I mean. Tell you what, I like that colour, so I'm putting a little bit on the edge of that there, just to give that a bit more depth. Yeah, that's okay. Right, now I'm changing to a round brush. What is that? Number 12, I would imagine. Pro Art. That's the red tip, Series 100. Although I think it's Series 100, but it's run out. It's rubbed away. So it's the red tip anyway. They're a good brush. I do like them. I get through quite a few of those because the way I use my brushes, I tend to wear them out quickly. Right, what I want to do is give more colour to the back, more depth of colour this side than that side. It's almost very similar, but I'm going to use, what will I use for that? Right, let's have a real bash at this. Cadmium yellow, Windsor blue. So that's my base colours to start. Pick up just a little bit more moisture. Don't want too much moisture in the brush for this. It needs to be quite dark. And to that, I'm going to add the alizarin crimson. And that will be the thing that makes it dark. There you go. And when you start these dark areas, start on the outer edge. Because if you find that it's too dark or, you know, things are not looking good, then, you know, you haven't spoken. If you start right in here, and you've got the wrong colour, there's a blob there and you think, what am I going to do with that? Rub it away. And you see it for the rest of the picture, don't you? It's always there. So I'm actually going to come over, there we go. Well, slightly damp too, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. I've done worse. A lot worse, I'll be telling you. Burnt sienna with that now. Warm it up. Looks a bit cool. That's that. And there's a branch overhanging there. And there's a glimmer of branch. Most of this is going to be quite dark. not having too much. Oh, and where there's light areas, put a dark area above it, because that will show the feeling of light coming through. There we are. Burnt sienna now with the crimson, with the Windsor blue. There we go. And of course, in the lower area there, we've got another. You just got to keep building up the feeling of branches. And as you go to the outer area, now this is where you've got to be a little careful, because you don't want too many bulky.
Colin, you've got about 3 more minutes before we stop.
Ooh, crikey. I better get going then. Brilliant. And all I'm going to do, that's brilliant. Crikey. Now I'm working at the speed I normally work. There we are, look at that. Look. Actually, it works better if you work fast. There you go. A little bit like that. A bit like that. It's a bit like being on the telly, you know. You've only got 2.5 minutes left, you know. Right. Right. Yeah. That's right. There you go. Actually, when I hear the tea being poured, I do work a lot faster. There you go. But you get the general idea, you know. We're getting there. And we've just got to be a bit careful there. What am I going to do down here? Oh, I know what I'm going to do down here. Well, I didn't, but I do now. That's got to be really dark. Not that dark. I do have my limits. Oh well, that's not bad. It's not good really. There you go. That's the final dark colour actually. But we'll leave it at that. And we'll just nip that into there. Nicely dark. Oh, there's going to be a dark area there. I'm going to leave one of those trunks unpainted. Maybe some ivy coming up there. What about ivy? Why don't we have some ivy? And then I'm going to stand up into that to create that darker touch of overhanging branches. There we are. We're beginning to build up that feeling of branches. Really, branches and leafing, they never look right until you get the trunk and the branches to support. I am going to go over with some darker tone that side. This side, I'll do a similar thing in the second half and just get a feeling of the overhanging branches but with more light on. Then I'll put the trunks in. Then of course we've got lots of bits and pieces to do there, but that comes up very quickly. The undergrowth is not a major problem. But anyway, with the tea being poured, I think we should have a break. That's the first half. This evening I'm at the West Mersey Art Group, and this is the first stage of the painting process of painting trees as demonstrated to this lovely Mersey Island Art Group. Next Friday it will be the second and final stage of how I painted this lovely summer landscape and shadows. I hope you can join me next week from 6 p.m. UK time on my YouTube channel.